Meanwhile, the ANC Parliamentary Caucus has released a statement saying the party stands firm against the DA's court challenge. For more on this, we speak to the ANC's Chief Whip, Mdumiseni Ntuli. Chief Whip, thanks for joining us. Good to have you on the program.
Thank you very much, Leanne. Good morning to you and good morning to the viewers.
So the ANC saying that the Act is not about reverse discrimination, but rather correcting centuries of injustice. Perhaps you want to elaborate on this?
Well, Liana, I mean, it's very disappointing that the Democratic Alliance is really very determined to reverse the project of social transformation in this country. We are a country that is coming from an era of colonialism and apartheid, where opportunities in this country and up to this date were not given to all South Africans, but were racially appropriated on the basis of where you stand. In fact, even within the racial groups, only males were dominating and remain dominant in terms of the workplace, particularly in the public sector. Now, the intervention by the government 2-3 years ago was to say that we set the target as a country in terms of what needs to be done by private sector, but there's no cooperation. What many business companies have decided to do is that instead of complying with the Act, they would rather pay the fine to government for having been discovered that they are not complying with the Act. So the amendment that was done in 2023 was so that the Minister of Employment and Labour can set the target, working with these private companies to ensure that they comply. And where there are difficulties of compliance, that should also be understood by government and not just be a decision of a private company without the government having also understood and accepted that it was not possible for that company to comply with the requirements of the Act. And that does not give the minister authority outside what the court can do. It's the authority that the minister has, and the minister exercises that authority within the ambit of the law. And if there's any violation, there's still a room for anybody who's unhappy to take the matter to court.
Yeah. So we look at the composition of the GNU, and obviously between the ANC and the DA, this is the two big parties, and one would ask, could this not be could have been resolved or spoken about without getting the courts involved? I know I'm reading something from the press briefing that was held yesterday by Helen Zille, the DA's Helen Zille, and she was saying that she tried to do meetings behind the scenes, called it a waste of time, it just doesn't work, went on to say that the ANC Secretary General Fikile Mbalula had failed to honour 5 of 7 scheduled meetings with her and arrived late when he did. So would you agree that there was just no intent to want to do this behind the scenes and not go towards courts?
You know, Leanna, the DA is hell-bent to challenge the transformation of in this country. That is why some of us were not surprised when they did not support the adoption of the budget and rather opt to go to court on the basis of a matter that we know they don't actually believe in, that the VAT should not have been implemented. That was a scapegoat. The DA, there are many platforms where we meet, Leanne. As the Chief Whip of the ANC, I am convening a meeting that is called the Chief Whips Forum of the GNU, which regularly meets to look at what is happening in Parliament and the work that we need to be dealing with. This matter has never arisen there. The Deputy President convenes what is called a clearinghouse. I heard Helen yesterday saying that the clearinghouse is useless. I don't know what she meant by that, because it was the clearinghouse that extensively discussed the issues relating to the Bella Act. The fact that it came to the conclusion that is not in line with the aspirations of the DA cannot therefore be make the justification of the fact that the clearinghouse is dysfunctional. Why this matter has never been raised with the clearinghouse, I don't know. Why this matter has never been raised, we've had 2 bilaterals with the Democratic Alliance over the past 3 weeks when we're discussing the budget and the variety of issues that are of concern to the 2 parties. This matter never arose. It is actually dishonest to suggest that the reason why this matter has not been discussed within the GNU or in the bilateral between the ANC and the DA is because the Secretary General of the ANC was not available. Helen did not need the SG. We met with them last week, Friday last week, if not a week before last, and this matter was not raised. In fact, when we were meeting them on that day, we were not even aware that they were going to submit a supplemental affidavit to the court relating to the VAT, let alone that they were still pursuing this court case against the transformation of our country. So this thing that there is no platform for engagement, I don't know what she meant by a backdoor. I don't know what backdoor is at, because if there are meetings where they are convened by the SG of the ANC, these matters are supposed to be discussed in those meetings. But the reason the DA does not bring this matter to a discussion is because in the discussion they are going to be defeated. And the only way for them is to take the matter to court, because they can't tolerate the acceleration of transformation of our country. If you look at the companies, Leanne, just less than a second, I want to give you an example of what we are concerned about, which we believe that this act is intended to address. For instance, if you were to look at the over 60% of the top management in the private sector is largely white males in this country, despite the fact that the white population is about 8% of our country. And that was a report given in 2023 by the Commission for Employment Equality, which pointed out that you have a major discrepancy with black youth. When I'm saying black youth, I mean Indian, coloreds, and Africans, where over 60% are unemployed within that category, and only about 10% are unemployed within the white community of the same age group. Now, the intention is not that you must increase the number of the white young people who are unemployed. That's not that. The question is that you can't live with a country where the overwhelming majority of the population is left out, not because of incompetence, a lack of skills and brilliance, but purely because companies are not willing to implement the Equity Act of our country. We can't allow that. The DA, of course, is standing for a particular constituency. That's why they're arguing for the status quo.
All right, Chief Whip, I've got to leave it there, but I'm so glad that we get to hear your voice on this before this heads to court. We're going to take it further in a later conversation this hour, so do stay tuned. But that was the ANC's Chief Whip, Mdumiseni Ntuli, talking to us about this court challenge and, of course, the Parliamentary Caucus challenging and standing firm against the DA's court action today.